Hello, Concordia. Hello, WCGR, listeners abroad and everywhere. This is Sports Talk Live with Alex Patt, and welcome to our first show. I'm your host, Alex Patt, and here we talk sports of all kinds. Baseball, basketball, hockey, football, you name it, we got it here. So welcome to our first show. Today we will be discussing mainly football since we're very timely with the NFL playoffs. But before we get there, we are going to just talk a little bit of news going on in the sports world. And our top stories right now. In the NBA, Josh Smith is traded from the Clippers back to the Rockets. He spent time with the Rockets last year, and now he is back with them. In the National Hockey League, the Chicago Blackhawks' 12-game winning streak ended against Tampa Bay back on the 21st of January with a 2-1 loss. And the big talk in baseball is free agent slugger Yoenis Cespedes is hopefully coming close to signing somewhere. He's had a number of suitors this year, including returning with the Mets, their division rival the Nationals, who have just emerged as a favorite to land him, the Chicago White Sox, the Baltimore Orioles, and a few other teams sprinkled in there like the Angels and the Astros. The current news on that is, according to reports, the Mets are talking around 3 years with a 1-year opt-out as a potential deal. The Nats reportedly offered him a 5-year deal yesterday. The money was not specified. And, according to other reports, the Yankees had contacted him today, and representatives of Yoenis Cespedes will be talking with the Yankees. So, will he go to the Mets? Will he go to the Nats? Will he go to the Yankees? Will he go somewhere else? Hopefully we'll find out soon, maybe even today. We don't know. So that is the latest rumor on him. And with that, we move on to our main topic, the National Football League. Why is it important? Well, we got the AFC and NFC championships coming up. Why wouldn't it be important? So we're going to go ahead and first kind of take a look at everything that's happened so far in the NFL. As for the regular season goes, the NFL was, in my opinion, terrible. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Chicago Bears fan. I'm just saying it because there was just so much bad football, a lot of boring games, a lot of terrible calls from the referees, just lots of bad. And, you know, more nonsense from Roger Goodell, more finings, more criminal cases coming up. It just, honestly, the NFL, it really is overall a mess. And sometimes I wonder why I still watch it. But, I mean, gotta love football, I guess. A few stats to take note of. And this was just looking at the standings itself. If you kind of want to look at teams overall, this year, there were 16 sub-500 teams. That's 16. That's about half. That's pretty bad. In addition, 3 more were at 500, so 8 and 8. Meaning there were 19 teams overall that were not above 500. That is more than half. So you could kind of see why there was a lot of mediocre football just kind of looking at the records of a lot of these teams. You also go on and look and say that 2 divisions had division winners of a record in 9 and 7. Now, you see 9 and 7 often with wild card teams, and it's like, okay, they're just above 500, they're just good enough to make the playoffs. No, these teams won their respective divisions, and those 9 and 7 teams include the Washington Redskins, because let's face it, the NFC East was a joke between the Eagles, the banged up Cowboys, the Redskins, who got hot after a terrible start, going 9 and 7, and the Giants, who obviously, we're not very good. You're seeing a lot of change in hands there. Tom Coughlin is gone. Some wonder how long Eli Manning's going to be there. I mean, they'll go out with 2 Super Bowls, but I can't see Eli Manning winning anymore there. So when you have 2 9 and 7 division winners, I mean, again, that's 2 bad. There's always that one bad division, but the fact that there's 2 of them where a team didn't go at least 10 and 6, at least double-digit wins to win a division. It kind of says something there. You look at the playoff picture starting the playoffs this year in the NFC. We talked about the Skins going 9 and 7. We had the Vikings win the NFC North at 11 and 5. I did not think they were going to go 11 and 5. We also had the Carolina Panthers 15-1. They almost had a perfect season. Who would have thought? Who would have thought the Panthers would have gone 15-1? Also, let's not mention that I think it's safe to say that Cam Newton is a favorite for the MVP this year. I'd certainly vote for Cam Newton. I've never been the biggest Cam Newton fan, but you got to look what he's done this year. It's pretty remarkable. The other remarkable thing is the Arizona Cardinals, 13-3. They're under Bruce Arians, a fantastic coach. And Bruce Arians, big fan of the guy, but he still makes me cringe, knowing that the Chicago Bears, instead of going with Bruce Arians, went from that CFL guy who I'm not even going to mention because we don't want to mention that. Your wild card winners are the Green Bay Packers, who did not look very good this year. Yeah, they were 10-6, but offense wasn't working well. Jordy Nelson got hurt. When I first thought Jordy Nelson, I'm like, yeah, they'll be fine, whatever. But you saw some bad games from the Packers offense, and one of the best quarterbacks in the game, Aaron Rodgers. It was kind of evident Week 17 when the Vikings won the division at Lambeau Field that they were struggling. Heck, when the Bears beat them at Lambeau Field on Thanksgiving, it's who would have seen that the year before? It was like 40-0 at halftime between those two at Lambeau Field. Another memory I'd rather not talk about, but that's not the point here. And then you had the Seahawks going 10-6. They got off to a slow start, but they picked things up later in the season. And then you go to the AFC, Patriots 12-4. It's the Patriots. The Bengals going 12-4. I thought they'd be good, but I didn't think they'd win 12 games. And the Texans, the other 9-7 winner, whoop-de-doo. The Broncos, they went 12-4. Again, they're a good team. They didn't have Peyton Manning much, and when they did have Peyton Manning, we'll get to Peyton Manning in a minute. But then you had your wild card. You had the Steelers going at 10-6, and the Chiefs, who started off winless through the first 5 weeks, went on this huge winning streak. And they ended up going 11-5. That was unbelievable. And it was not talked about very much. Usually a win streak like that's talked about a lot. You didn't hear a lot about the Chiefs. It's like all of a sudden they're right there in the thick of things, and then next thing you know, they're in the playoffs. So then that leads to Wild Card Weekend. We had the matchups between the Texans and the Chiefs. Chiefs walked all over them. Texans, I like the Texans and all. I've always liked them, but they just were not a playoff team. They didn't have a quarterback. They didn't have many weapons on offense. They won a terrible division. It honestly amazes me how that Texans team did go 9-7. Then there was the interesting game between the Steelers and the Bengals, where the Bengals had a late comeback, but then you had a fumble and just two stupid penalties, including one from Pac-Man Jones, which set up the game-winning field goal for the Steelers. They moved on. Ugly sight in Cincinnati that night. One that I think a lot of people would want to forget, considering what was said, what happened, some of the actions that both the teams and the fans took place there. It was just not good. And then you had Seattle and Minnesota, where, here's Minnesota, Blair Walsh. He's going to kick the game-winning field goal at the dying seconds. Laces out, kicked it, missed it. Have a good friend, Vikings fan. He'd rather not remember that game. Pretty painful. Very surprising to see Blair Walsh miss a field goal like that. And Minnesota, who won the division, was out in wild card round, and Seattle moved on. And then Aaron Rodgers and the offense showed up against a Redskins team that also probably really isn't a playoff caliber team. They got hot, bad division. If any of those other teams in that division were any good, they would have won the division, not the Redskins. But you could talk about that all day, as Green Bay destroyed Washington 35-18. And then you move to the division round. The Red Hot Chiefs went into Foxborough saying, hey, maybe we can beat these guys. We're riding high. Tom Brady did Tom Brady things. New England won 27-20. Then you moved on to Pittsburgh and Denver. Pittsburgh, they were carrying the ball. They were in Denver territory, up the big fumble. They get it back. Peyton Manning makes things happen. And Denver wins 23-16, gut-wrenching loss for the Steelers. And then you had the Carolina-Seattle game where Carolina jumped ahead 31, I believe, 31-0. It was 31-0 by halftime. And then the second half was completely different. Seattle almost came back. Carolina didn't score once in the second half. And Seattle was close to like coming back and tying it, but Carolina hung on and won 31-24. And then the epicness that was Green Bay, Arizona. Arizona was leading the last minute of the game. Aaron Rodgers is in the end zone, 4-10, lobs it to one of his guys for the first down, and then the last second, a Hail Mary. Again, another Hail Mary pass to the end zone, the dying seconds of the game, caught for a touchdown, extra point kicked, overtime. Unbelievable. Throwing half a football field to get that throw in a prayer as he was getting knocked down, and the guy catches. Unbelievable. It was amazing. And then, next thing you know, the Cardinals get the ball. Larry Fitzgerald darts all the way downfield into the red zone. 2 plays later, Fitzgerald again is in the end zone, and the Arizona Cardinals are going to the NFC Championship game. They won that in overtime, 26-20. And now we have the championship games coming up. Who's going to be in the Super Bowl this year? New England versus Denver, the finale of Manning and Brady. Because let's face it, after this year, Manning's probably done. And then you have the battle of Carson Palmer and Cam Newton in Carolina, which you got to wonder, how's that going to work with everything? Is it going to, with the snow and the blizzard, how are they going to do that? It's going to be tough for them. So we're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and we'll be right back to discuss the 2 games. This is Sports Talk Live with Alex Patt. We will be right back. All right, and we're back with Sports Talk Live with Alex Patt, here to discuss the championship games this year. So I think a lot of people are looking forward to these games, especially considering that you have the last Brady and Manning Bowl ever. So this is a pretty big one. We're going to start with that, the AFC Championship game. As for predictions of this game, I think it'll probably be tight. It'll come down. The atmosphere in Denver is going to be unreal. However, I predict that the New England Patriots are going to go to the Super Bowl. As good as Manning has been in his career, he's one of the best ever, no doubt. He doesn't have left any in the tank. I just think Tom Brady's going to come out and it's going to be a great game though. But I just see the Patriots winning that one. But hey, you never know. And then you have Carolina, Arizona. Now, Carolina's 16-1 this year, and yet there's still skepticism by a lot of fans, including myself. Is this team really this good? Because how many times have we seen the Carolina Panthers get a big lead and then almost blow it? Granted, they've hung on to most of those games, but I just wonder, because you look at Arizona, they're one of the most complete team in football, in my opinion, everywhere. Balanced offense, balanced defense, the special teams, the coaching staff, everything you'd want in a football team is in the Arizona Cardinals. So, however, it is in Carolina, and the MVP, Cam Newton, who I think will be MVP, leading the way. This is going to be tough. This really is. It's really hard to pick a winner, but I am going to predict that the Super Bowl is going to be between New England and the Arizona Cardinals. And that would be one for the ages. You have Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald working for their Super Bowl. You have Tom Brady trying to win another one, trying to quiet some of the criticism that goes towards him for, obvious reasons. It's probably one of his biggest motives with the rest of the Patriots. And of course, who doesn't want more championships? But I think seeing Carson Palmer and a classy guy like Larry Fitzgerald would be so awesome. I really do hope that the Arizona Cardinals could pull it off. Again, I'm not trying to be a favoritist here, but seeing the Arizona Cardinals win would be pretty awesome. But I think it's going to be great. I think these games are going to be great, and it's going to lead to a great Super Bowl. Hopefully it won't be like a complete blowout like it was 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, regardless of who plays. So I think we're going to be in for a real treat. Despite the mediocre season, the playoffs have been nothing short of exciting. It's been so much fun to watch. The funnest playoffs I think I've ever watched. All these games have just been incredible. And that's pretty much all we have here for football. And before we sign off, we like to scale social media for any upcoming news because Twitter is usually the first to break upcoming news and stuff like that. And the one thing I'm really interested in right now is seeing if Yoenis Cespedes has made it official anywhere, and I'm not seeing anything on that. But here is something interesting. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, assistant Ty Lue has agreed to a multi-year deal as new Cavaliers head coach, league sources tell Yahoo Sports. And they have fired coach David Blatt. Wow. That's something. That's something. We went on the air. I didn't see anything about that at all. And now social media is blown up with that news. That's wow. David Blatt fired. That is a surprise. I don't know why. I don't know what. We're going to find out more. And hopefully next time we go on the air, we'll be able to talk and report about it. So the reactions on social media, it's pretty shocking. Everyone's just like, wow, what? What? I mean, that was my reaction. And just seeing what all these people have said, it's the same thing. And it's all over now, and it's just starting to trend. So we will find out more about that. So keep an eye out for links or mini-sodes on that on Sports Talk Live with Alex Patt on Facebook. You can also follow me on Twitter at ShyFanPat1. And this has been Sports Talk Live with Alex Patt. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to see you next time here on Sports Talk Live with Alex Patt on WCGR 80.5 FM, The Underground.